It is game day inside the vault, and the first of many, many pieces of and hours of commentary begins right now. We're glad to be with you guys. It is the 30th of October. Thursday night football awaits tonight in Miami between the Ravens and Dolphins. And today is brought to you by our friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. We have a winner that we will announce in the next 30 minutes or so from this week's, and I should say this month's, $100 Fanatics gift card giveaway courtesy of PRMI. So that'll be coming up in just a bit. Over 60 entries. So we appreciate you guys for being so engaged and participatory in our monthly giveaways. And I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison. We got a lot to discuss in today's rundown, including renowned motivational speaker Eric Thomas being invited to speak to the Ravens. Sarah, John Harbaugh and company and his staff brought in ET, and we've got a bunch of different pieces and snippets and uncoverings put forth by the Baltimore Sun. Looking forward to that, including some clips and snippets from Eric Thomas and what he had to say to the Ravens. After that, speculation versus reporting. We're going to kind of look into that as it relates to Lamar Jackson and the week that's been over the last week or so. And we will look at the Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins, who are 2-6 right now, just as desperate, if not more desperate, Sarah, than the Ravens are going into tonight at Hard Rock Stadium. So with that, great to be with you guys and great to see you, partner.
Great to see you. It'll be, this will be a fun opening, I feel like, because we did get a look inside the motivational speeches that were given throughout the facility. There is the one from Eric Thomas, but then also if you've watched Ravens Wired, I mean, the players all were just galvanized themselves, right? Just so many different people spoke to them during the bye week that it was a bye week that really helped them. In addition to having health, they got to reset their mindset. And so you mentioned Eric Thomas was the motivational speaker who came in. He has a book. I think it's entitled "You Owe You" type of a thing. The whole speech that he gave the Ravens in the auditorium was put up on YouTube, but I think once the Baltimore Sun and maybe the Baltimore Banner and all that were sending links to it, it got turned private. So I've seen a couple clips, but because it went private, we'll lean into the Baltimore Sun that had already kind of watched the whole thing. So he wasted no time, Bobby. He wasted no time, according to Sam Cohen, who watched the whole thing. And Sam was able to get a snippet before the whole YouTube motivational speech went private. But the gist of it, Bobby, that I'm getting is that the players told him, as you're going to see in this clip, that maybe their reputation kind of got to their head a little bit from the beginning. And he calls them out on that from the opening jump, at least from this clip. Let's take a listen.
Like, how you think the energy was when they came in here, when they was undefeated that year? Didn't lose one game. What do y'all think the energy was like? Phenomenal. Did it matter? It didn't matter when it count. So I'm not really tripping on how y'all feel right now. We got to get that out of our mind. That's not the focus. The problem is, the reason why you may not be 5-1 is because you told me you came in the beginning of the season thinking this was going to be a phenomenal year. So that's probably what messed you up. Not that you're not necessarily talented, not that you don't have what it takes, but you probably came in and you probably had a mindset that made some of y'all chill. You probably came in and was like, we the Ravens. You probably came in and it's like, look what we've done. You probably came in, it's like, look at who our players are. And you probably didn't focus on what you should have been focusing on. But the cool thing about it is, we got an opportunity to turn that around. And it's on you.
Ooh. There was no buildup because that was just the clip. I wish I could have seen the buildup to that moment. But Bobby, I think this is like a natural human function. Have we ever gotten to a place in our lives? We talk about adversity all the time, but have we also ever gotten a place in our lives where we're so comfortable, we lose that hunger and fire, which almost seems a little like unreal that happened, given that the Ravens keep knocking on the door of the playoffs and coming up short. And so in some ways, he said, that's what you told me. So if that is what was happening, in some ways, it's like, how did you let that get to your head based off of coming up short in the playoffs? But my thought is that what does everybody say on national TV? What do the fans say? What does everybody say? You've been so close so many times that we don't care what happens in the regular season. We don't care. And so many people came out and said, yeah, the Ravens will win the AFC North. And they'll probably they could even get a first round bye. They'll do what the Ravens do. They'll win 12-ish games, maybe 11, maybe 13, but they'll get all that. And so everybody started saying, come back to me once we hit playoff times, because we've seen this movie before. So maybe in that sense, they could come in and be like, ooh, look at us. We got Lamar Jackson, who's a 2-time MVP. We've got Derrick Henry, the king, back there. We added all these pieces. You hear everybody on TV or maybe you hear our show or all other shows. This might be the best roster in the NFL. That's what everybody was saying. And players are taught to block out the noise, good or bad, but it still leaks through. So this is different from, some random report that said, people talked about their reputation, let it get to their heads. No, he's saying to their faces, you told me. So what probably happened, because you thought you were so good, you started to chill. So maybe you thought it was like, we could go on cruise control until the playoffs, but you can never get too comfortable because somebody's always coming for you, especially in the NFL.
If you were to put your PR team hat on from all the years that you spent there, am I missing something that's blatantly obvious about why they maybe listed it as private?
I think it's his YouTube.
So I'm sorry. Okay, this is on Eric's YouTube. So you think, but still though, do you think the Ravens asked him to make it private?
I have no idea, and I don't care.
Strange though. Strange. Why it went live and then it goes private? I just don't understand that. But I just wonder if there was anything in it. We don't know because we didn't watch it and we're only going on these snippets, right? Was there anything in it that was perhaps too revealing or gave a team an advantage? I just wonder if there was something produced not to the Ravens.
If there was, you'd think that these Baltimore Sun and Baltimore Banner people who watched it would have noted it.
Maybe, right? Maybe. Yeah. So, you just brought me back to like something that we've seen from this team in recent seasons when it comes to like the cruise control, or maybe even to go back to like last year, for example, not enjoying the ride enough because of some of that underperformance in the postseason. And so you'd see after wins, and granted, you'd love when Kyle Hamilton did it this past week, right? When he got up there with the media and it was just like, we didn't just win the Super Bowl. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like you appreciated a lot more then. And I'm not saying you didn't appreciate it last year, but there was almost this like over cruise control in terms of like nothing else matters at all. Meaning like even this mowing down competition and multiple games, winning streaks, ripping off 11, 12, 13, going back to 2019, 14 regular season wins at a time. It's like, are you enjoying that ride enough? Don't know the answer to that question, but now it's like that. None of that even applies now because of obviously every single regular season game is paramount from this point forward.
I mean, that's a good question of like whether you enjoy the ride. Like, how many times have I been here, whether it was last year or 2 years ago, when I'm like trying to say, enjoy this time with Lamar Jackson, like enjoy it. And people would be like, I don't care about the MVP. I don't care. And it's like, really? You have a quarterback that's healthy and is playing at an MVP level, and we're winning a lot of games, and you don't care. You don't care. Like that's to like some of our listeners in the past or a certain segment of the fan base. Like you gotta enjoy every good moment that comes because you don't know when it's going to be taken away. And so just to sit back and expect success and then not really enjoy it because it's really in the playoffs, it's like you have to enjoy the journey, or you do. It's like what Eric said, you start to chill. Now, what we didn't get to see, but that the Baltimore Sun wrote about, is a little bit more of what he said. He's got it in quotes here. He says he starts talking about not focusing on the past, but instead the future, because he's talking about how important it is to have the right mindset. I'm a big believer that like your mindset can dictate, your circumstances can too, for sure, but your mindset can bulldoze you through good or bad circumstances. It's a major part of the engine. So he's telling them, quote, let's not focus on the 5 losses. Somebody give it to me because I don't play. How are we going to end the season? Some brave soul, talk to me. I don't know if you've read this yet. Do you have a guess who decided to raise his hand? Have you read it?
This is my first time.
Who would you guess rose his hand?
Marlon.
It was not Marlon. It was a cornerback, though, and he has not been playing a lot.
But he's on the screen.
He's on the screen. Cornerback Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
He raises his hand.
No shortage of confidence, even without playing and being inactive and this, that, and the other.
Listen, I wish he were more healthy and played as the way he did in the past, but boy, do I love his energy. Boy, do I love his energy. So it's Jair Alexander, who's only played in 2 games and dressed for a third, piped up from the front row. 12-5, he said. Of course, they're 5-1 at the time, implying Baltimore could win the remainder of its regular season games. So Eric brought up on the screen different teams that had overcome slow starts. Since basically 4 teams that have overcome it since 1970. We talked about it with Femi Amandejo last week. And he started talking about specifically the New York Giants. In 2007, they won 10 games and upset the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl as a wild card team. In 2012, another Giants team finished the regular season 9-7. 9-7, Bobby. Went on and hoisted the Lombardi Trophy again. That was with the fewest wins of any NFL championship team. And then he even talked about the 2000 Ravens, even though they had the best defense, considered the best defense in league history, but they went on to win the Super Bowl as a wild card team. So Eric Thomas says the 1-5 ain't the problem. The mindset is the problem. You can move forward. So then he continues on. This might be my favorite part because I'm old school like Eric is. And he starts differentiating between talent and focus. He says to them, quote, listen to me very closely. He said, prefacing that it would be okay if he was never invited back. He had to get the next part off of his chest. Quote, somebody pay you to do something, you do it. I'm just being real. Then he goes on to talk about how his grandfather never made anyone sign a contract to complete a job. He says that's old school, he said. Then he asked Kyle Hamilton to come up because Kyle Hamilton just got paid over the offseason and became the highest paid safety in NFL history. And he asks Kyle Hamilton to shake his hand. And then he said, that right there was my grandfather's contract. You shake somebody's hand, that means it's a promise. And then he challenged the Ravens to meet expectations. I mean, they're comparing him to like how Ray Lewis would speak. So he says to them, it's time to show up, not just in the first quarter, not just in the second, not in the third, not in the fourth, man to man. You give me some money. I'm going to do exactly what I told you I was going to do. From this day forward, you start strong and you finish strong, or you don't come at all. Close quote. What do you think of that last part?
Were you aware of Eric Thomas prior to this?
No.
Okay. So, and
now.
a lot of people in the live chat are with me on this one. Man, Sarah, knowing you the way I do, you're going to want to go ahead and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Because this guy has a way with words. This guy has a way of digging within and digging deep. And I literally will go back to my college years. I know this isn't the question that you asked me, but I'm giving some context on Eric.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my college years. I found a specific video of his where he was training with an East Carolina player. And it was all narrated over this football player's beach workout. And the main takeaway was, and of course I'm going to botch the actual quote, so I'll paraphrase it. It was essentially like, if you want to be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, as bad as you want to sleep, as bad as you want to, so on and so forth. And I should say, if you don't want to be successful as those things, then what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And it spoke to the 22-year-old or 20-year-old Bobby more so than any other video ever has in my entire life. And I swear I still have that video under a playlist that's starred in my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times where my college friends joked with me and, you know, made me the motivational like cheesehead, right? That's like all bark, no bite, whatever. Like they played around with me with it. But I'm telling you right now, there's something about Eric Thomas that's always spoken to me. And I think that's one of the main reasons why he resonates with athletes. He is a former athlete himself. I commend the Ravens for bringing him in on short notice. You wonder how that whole process goes.
Mm-hmm.
We've only gotten some of these snippets, but clearly, Sarah, this thing was tailored to the Ravens' struggles, to specific related aspects of the Ravens organization, like Kyle being the guy, the highest paid safety in the league. And so, if nothing else, it's an awesome message that hopefully is felt. I don't know how much it changes the reality of where they are right now, but it certainly can't hurt. And a great time, obviously, to bring somebody like him in during the bye. You're not going to do this on a short week. You're not going to do this during a normal standard NFL week. The bye is the time to do it. Hopefully it got through to those guys.
The version that I heard of that story of how much you want to breathe is it was a story of somebody holding somebody else down underwater. And they're like struggling to get up. And then they kind of let them up. And it's like, when you want to, you know, when you have a desire for something as badly as you just wanted to breathe, when I'm like holding you underwater, and I don't even know where that all started. That'd be kind of messed up if somebody did hold somebody underwater like that. But you just said you don't know how much it changes reality, but like, that's the point. You write your destiny. You change your reality. You have an opportunity. And that's what he's trying to say. Stop focusing on the 1 in 5. Because that's what they're focusing on. And then you just get deeper and deeper and deeper. I mean, and it can be anywhere in life. Bobby, I just watched an old episode of Survivor the other day. I'm like three weeks behind. And this team on Survivor keeps losing. And you could see on this girl's face as they're doing like a puzzle. It could be NFL. It could be anything. And you could just see her starting to feel sorry for herself and breaking down and quitting and giving up and letting go. Like, you change your reality. The Dolphins are going to want to come in and inflict their own reality. So who wants it more? Who wants to breathe more? And obviously talent has something to do with that. We're going to get to our Dolphins-Ravens preview pretty soon. The Ravens are a more talented team. They are. Who wants to breathe more? Who wants to survive and keep their season alive more? That's what's going to dictate reality more times than not. And then finally, we'll just get to some more motivational feels. A little bit from Wired, from the Ravens website. Just different people speaking to the team. Kyle Van Noy, Roquan Smith, and OJ Bergantz. Just a couple snippets from that.
Enough.
Every game for us is a playoff game.
Because everything we want is still in front of us, and I think everybody knows that.
If we all just paused for a second and just said, hey, this is our last game ever playing with each other, how would you play?
This weekend, the main focus on this whole team is one snap mentality. That means when you get the call, line up, you get ready, and you get laser focused to do your job, whatever it is. I'm laser focused on that one snap, 2 snap, 3 snap, all the way for 60 minutes. Laser focus. And think about a little bit of sacrifice. I know every single man, woman in here is sacrificing. So if we all do that, one snap, we're gonna be exactly where we wanna be. And that's what can win.
On the road to destiny, there are times of testing used to strengthen us, refine us, and prepare us for the destiny ahead. Adversity is never perfectly timed. It's intrusive, disruptive, and like a bad house guest, doesn't know when it has overstayed its welcome. Though unwanted and unwelcomed, it is one of life's essential necessities. And I declare to each of you today that there is always purpose wrapped within the pain.
Ooh, that last part from OJ. I got to play that one more time. What he said about adversity. He said it's intrusive, badly timed, and never knows when to go home. I have to hear it again. Hold on a second.
There are times of testing used to strengthen us, refine us, and prepare us for the destiny ahead. Adversity is never perfectly timed. It's intrusive, disruptive, and like a bad house guest, doesn't know when it has overstayed its welcome. Though unwanted and unwelcomed, it is one of life's essential necessities. And I declare to each of you today that there is always purpose wrapped within the pain.
Ooh, purpose wrapped within the pain.
And coming
And
from
it's- and
OJ, coming from OJ, that is pretty darn powerful.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, few people. It's not a competition of who has more challenges and adversity or whatever, but few people have more adversity than that. How long has he been like living life in the way that he's had to with this disease? Like he just purpose does not come without pain. And he talked about like it's a big purpose of life because it refines us for our destiny. That's not just a saying like purpose is wrapped in pain. It's not just a saying like it's real. The pain you go through refines you if you keep chugging away at it. It refines you for the destiny that you could have. I mean, all these perfect messages for the Ravens last week, combined with their health, returning to the field, you can start to see why they were able to turn it around against the Bears. That's all I got.
And now the run begins. The run is all there for the taking. It's a Dolphins team that, as you mentioned, and we're going to dive into it in just a bit here, is inferior to them roster talent wise. They are banged up. I know the Ravens are banged up in some capacities as well, even though they're the healthiest they've been in terms of players that aren't shut down for the rest of the year. The Dolphins are banged up, and it's time for the Ravens to take back what's theirs ahead of a mini bye week. They'll go on the road to Minnesota week 10. Thanks, guys, for being with us on game day. I'll have pregame coverage starting on my channel at 7. You and I will be live probably around 11:30, 11:45, midnight, somewhere in that half-hour window, depending on the game flow. So we look forward to it. And we thank you guys for spending some time with us this afternoon. Please like the video on your way in if you haven't already. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. We're going to get to some super chats in just a bit. But first, Primary Residential Mortgage is the episode's sponsor, and they've been working with us to start off this football season. They've been a long-standing partner of mine, and now they are exclusively on the Vault, and we are happy to have them. Whether you're buying your first home, looking to expand as your family grows, or you just want to simplify now that you're retired, the Primary Residential Mortgage team will help you find the right financing options for you, and they can also help you access your home equity or save money through refinancing. Whatever your home financing needs are, they're here to help. You do not need to be, despite their presence in the Towson area, you don't need to be in the Baltimore or Maryland area. You can be anywhere nationwide to work with them. I highly recommend them. I know a lot of them personally. Michael and Zach and Naz and Devin and the entire team in the Towson branch do great work. And they are really one click away, guys. If you want to apply, it's pretty simple. There is a direct link that we have pinned in our live chat right now. It's also in our show notes at the top. That'll take you to our specific landing page that you're seeing up on the screen right now. Simply click apply now. You can contact them as well, and it'll break things down like what are you interested in specifically? Purchasing, refinancing, construction, so on and so forth. The location of the loan, again, all 50 states available. It's that simple. And they've personalized it for us, partner. They've got our graphics all over the landing page. And again, pretty simple process if you'd like to get started. And go check out where you're at. See if you're a good fit right now for primary. And if primary is a good fit for you. Apply now. And now on to the fun stuff, partner. And maybe that's fun for some. But the maybe more fun stuff is our giveaway today. Because this month, we did a $100 Fanatics gift card giveaway, and you had to enter yourself in, which was pretty simple to do, through Instagram. It's the Primary Residential Mortgage official Instagram account and partner through their random system. We have ourselves a winner. There were over 60 entries.
Woo.
And our winner is Ruthie. Let me see if I can find her. There she is right here. Okay, Ruthie. Oh, and that's an Italian name right there, Sarah. How do we think the last name is pronounced? Lucchesi?
Oh, where's my glasses? It's a little small for me on this screen.
Where's our Italian people out there? Is it Lucchesi? Ruthie, if you're out there, email us, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. She wrote, #Vault. My dream home is a house on the water with many large windows for viewing the water in a beach area. It would have a fireplace, a 2-car garage, a huge deck, and a nice sized yard. It would also have a ramp for jet skis and or a boat, plus a huge room with a gym overlooking the water. Dreamy indeed. Congratulations to Ruthie. BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. We hope to hear from you, Ruthie. And just so you guys know, we've got another November giveaway coming up as soon as the calendars flip. Look at everybody that chimed in and supported us and obviously supported themselves too with giving them a fighting chance, giving themselves a fighting chance to win this giveaway. I mean, there were, look at them, 60, I think it was 68 I counted. So pretty cool. We'll do it again next month, partner.
That's awesome. Lucchesi.
Okay, so I nailed it.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go.
That's how I would do it. But listen, you don't want to use me as the barometer of whether you're right. To be fair.
Maybe not. Maybe not. And a lot of familiar names down here like Eileen and Clinton, right? A lot of folks that we just recognize from our daily live chat. And just want to say, obviously we appreciate you guys for going out of your way to go enter yourself in. And we look forward to doing it again in November. And a special thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage because there's a lot of gear to choose from, a lot of high-level gear at Fanatics. It's Baltimore's team store. More in November. Jonathan Williams is celebrating 4 months of channel membership with us. I've been talking a lot. Why don't you take this one?
Sure. Bobby and Estot. The Ravens brought in Eric Thomas for a motivational session. We all knew mindset was a problem. Please share the video. #mindset. Done and done, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
Glad we're on the same page.
Franco or Franco says $5 for the Jackson 5. We're getting tonight. 18 of 22, 240 yards, 5 total touchdowns. It's worth noting that one of the games that Lamar has played against the Dolphins in his career, so one of several, has included a perfect 158.3 passer rating. So he has lit up the Dolphins. And maybe, just maybe, this is a shootout. It's been a shootout before. It's also been a blowout in the Ravens' favor before.
It's been a blowout in the Ravens' favor. It's been a shootout. And it's been that zero blitz that the Ravens just couldn't beat years ago.
Correct.
But they figured it out. What was the blowout? What was it, like 54 to something?
59 to 10.
59 to 10. Woo!
59 to 10 in what was Lamar's first game as a regular season starter. You got to go back to September 2019 for that. There was also, y'all remember the 42 to 38 barn burner and shootout that went in Miami's favor, which included an epic fourth quarter collapse by the Ravens. I believe that was one of the first few games in 22. If memory serves, that was one of the first few games in 2022. And that was also Mike McDonald's first year as a DC. And remember, that may have actually been the game where Rex Ryan got on the air the next day and called Mike a hot shot coordinator. So if I'm remembering all that correctly, that was 2022. There have been others as well, including the Thursday night game, like you mentioned, where they had no answer for the blitz, the cover zero blitz. They now have many answers for that. Darren Alexander, this one, I got to chuckle out of this one. Darren Alexander says, "Hey, Sarah, I got a new nickname for Bobby. It's Bobby Be Cautious." That's funny. If you've been following recent shows, you know why.
Caution.
This is good. Darren, that's a good one. All right, this is a good one. Tyler Downing for you.
Tyler says, good to see y'all. Hopefully Keaton eats tonight. Yeah, put that. I think Harbaugh was convinced. Don't you? Based off of like, they gave him plays and then he talked about it Sunday and then he talked about it Monday. He's like, oh yeah, Keaton made a huge statement. Huge statement. Harbaugh was like excited. That wasn't coaching. He was like excited. I don't know why it took this long. We've already discussed that. So I'm just for now going to enjoy that. I think Harbaugh has come around.
Even if he has weaknesses from a blitz pickup standpoint and different roles on special teams, like, doesn't it all cancel out when you go and put up 10.8 yards per carry and you chip in over 60 yards of return yards? Like,
I wouldn't say it cancels out. I would say it's still in favor of just giving him 4 to 6 carries a game.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like in favor of that.
However you want that pendulum to swing. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Dream says, seeing Eric Thomas live back in 2019, he's legit the GOAT. And Dreams, you were right. I actually misspoke on. He's not a former athlete. So thanks for checking me on that, Queon. And look who's here today on a game day Thursday. It's our friend Jake Asman, Jets content creator for you.
Wait, who was it that won a Mangold jersey from him?
Eric.
Who was that?
Eric Hill.
Oh, it was Eric Hill. That's right.
I forgot to text Jake. I forgot to text Jake about that.
Why don't you text him right now? He might be listening, so maybe you don't need to. But he says in all caps, the vault on a Thursday, a game day vault. Oh, yeah.
Let's see. One, you're the man. Two, did you hand out a jersey giveaway to Eric Hill from our show?
Bobby texting live. Darren, I'm going to keep moving for you. Alexander, celebrating 1 month of his membership. He says, first membership gift. Love the show.
Very cool. DA. What's up, DA? Layla says, Sarah, I often listen to Eric Thomas. Motiversity while training in the gym before the vault comes on. I think you'll love it.
Ooh, I like that.
Endorsement for a potential future subscription of yours to YouTube. Wildlife Wale for you.
O-line needs a motivational speaker every week.
You never miss WW, do you? Wildlife never misses. Thank you guys for being with us today. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, allow this channel to continue moving north. And Sarah, let's transition and talk about speculation versus reporting, or as you put it in the Twitter caption, clownish behavior.
I said speculation, just to be clear.
Excuse me? Clownish speculation.
Yeah, I mean,
commentary, whatever you want to call it.
Listen, I don't want to bring the mood of the show down too much. We just did some awesome motivational stuff. I know you talked about a little bit of this yesterday, so we don't have to dive too deep into it. But yeah, there are 3 that came out this week, which is definitely opinion. There's Baltimore Banner. Kyle Goon, he's some of these guys like do a little bit of both reporting, but then also opinion. So it's hard to know when they're doing what. I believe this one is an opinion article. There's a paywall. I'm not paying for Baltimore Banner. I pay too many subscriptions to other places, but just kind of the way they kind of featured it on Twitter. The Ravens' mishandling of Lamar Jackson's practice participation will almost certainly cost them money and maybe even a draft pick, but the mistake hints at a larger issue. Does the organization have any reliable way to anticipate what Jackson will do next? Well, I mean, you could ask him. I feel like Lamar will shoot you straight usually. Nick Wrong, perpetuating this one that he already did earlier, said, I think the Ravens tried to use the Friday injury report to pressure Lamar Jackson into playing. And then Saturday morning, Lamar shut it all down. Again, he's just saying, I think, right? This is not a report. He's just saying, I think, and I guess we can do that. We can just pull out anything. And then the last one I think you mentioned a little bit on your show last night. So we'll just play the 3 together and maybe react to them as as a whole.
Yeah, and I'll set this up accordingly. You know, Mike Preston, as we both know, is one of the longest tenured, sports personalities, journalists in the Baltimore market, long-time Baltimore Sun writer. And he had this to say on his new podcast. It's the Be More Sports podcast. Jerry Coleman's on it with him. Mike Bordick makes appearances when it comes to baseball coverage. So here are Mike's thoughts on the last, 10 days, week or so, and counting as it relates to some of the messaging and overall activity between Lamar and the Ravens.
Comfortable in saying that Lamar tapped out. I feel very good and very strong about that. He didn't want to play. And why he didn't want to play, I don't know. I don't have the slightest idea. And I'm not going to try to get into that mind of his because I can't. Maybe it's because they played 2 games in a row, with the Thursday night game, and then he had the Bears game. I don't know. But I do know that he just said, hey, I'm not ready to play. And maybe he talked to the medical staff and they told him 2 games in that little bit of time, probably don't want to risk that. I do not know, but he was cleared to go out and play. And then for some reason, and whatever it is, and Jerry, we all know that Lamar plays by his own rules. Or he does whatever he wants to do when he wants to do it. And that's the way that system over there with the Ravens has worked with him. And that's fine. And that's why I suggested at one point, and just said, okay, if the Ravens don't like what he's done and he doesn't want to play, all right, then go consider a trade at the end of the season if you want to do that.
Wow.
Maybe you don't like, I don't know. But I'm just saying it's an option. He's in his 8th year. He's kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's still effective. He's still the superstar. But you created the system, and then you have to live with it. And either live with it or do something about it. And I think they're going to stay status quo because you see what happened when he doesn't play.
Yeah.
They don't win.
I feel like we're both going to eviscerate this. So I feel like we need to throw this into the air first before we do. I really like Mike. I like Mike a lot. I'll speak for myself on that. I do like Mike. This 90 seconds that we just played for you, there's a lot going on there. And you had 4 different I don't knows. There are 4 different I don't knows. So my biggest gripe with it, Sarah, is that it goes from, in his mind, almost a report at the start, right? It's almost going to be a report of some kind that he's comfortable enough to share this, as if to say, based on conversations in the field that he has for his perhaps relationships within the organization, he feels comfortable enough to say the take that he did, which is that Lamar tapped out in his mind. But as the clip goes on, it gets more and more speculative. And that, to me, was where I lost him. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good for you to always point out separating people from their opinions. I think what I'm going to be pushing back on is all 3 of these guys' opinions. I'm sure they're all fine human beings. No need for any personal attacks or anything like that. I remember Mike Preston well when I was, still working for the Ravens. So they put their opinions out in the universe. That's what they're paid to do. They're all opinion guys, whether it's in print or for TV or podcasting.
Sir, I love the quote you used to give me. You gave me a great quote. Sorry to interrupt. I feel like this is the perfect time to talk about it. I think about this all the time. This is such a wise quote that you gave me a year or 2 ago, whatever it was. Go attack the message, not the messenger. This is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
You're going after the message, not the messenger. And so many, including myself, so many of us could lean on that. So thank you for throwing that into the universe. I just wanted to recycle it.
But what bothers me about all 3 of them is they have no problem going off after the messenger. Now, in this case, it's Lamar Jackson, who's not a messenger. But I have a hard time when people are so quick to assassinate people's character or attempt to do so. And that's kind of what all 3 of them are doing. So to start with Mike Preston, you're right that he said, I don't know, 4 times. At one point he says, but I do know he said that he's not ready to play. So is that where you're getting he tapped out? Because he said, I'm not ready to play? Because we already know that from Lamar Jackson's press conference. He said, it's my body. I ultimately have to make the call. Then he says, maybe he talked to the staff, meaning the training staff. Well, John Harbaugh said he did. Lamar Jackson gave a shout out to the training staff during his press conference. And here's what he said about his hamstring. He had never had one before. So here's what he had to say.
It's become easier over your career now that you're a veteran to be patient when you may not feel 100%, but you want to be out there. You know that you're at a big point of the season. Have you gotten more comfortable with being patient and kind of letting the healing process play out?
Yeah, absolutely. And then at the same time, you don't want to rush, a hamstring injury back and like make it worse, and then now you're out for the whole season. Because I feel like hamstrings can be tricky. This is my first time having it, and I thought I was able to move sometimes, and it still feel like a little tugging part, or early on when I was rehabbing and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't want to end my season or end my career on a hamstring injury.
So that was your first ever hamstring, even going back
Yeah.
to high school?
Yeah, I never had a hamstring injury.
So he's not hiding the ball. He's saying, I've never had a hamstring before. They can be tricky. One moment it can feel okay. One moment it couldn't. And he said that he was nervous about re-aggravating it and further hurting his season. He went on to say, or my career. Maybe that one was more dramatic than what people would like, but he just said it. And John Harbaugh said it during his press conference. Lamar Jackson and the trainers talked about it, and they felt like it wasn't good for him to go 2 games in 5 days. Why can't it ever just be left right there? Why is it that there always has to be something more devious behind the scenes, or more nefarious behind the scenes, or phrase as he said he's not ready to play, so he tapped out? So tell me, is Lamar Jackson putting his team and himself in a better position by making sure he's closer to 100%, or should he feel pressured to go back sooner than what he's feeling in his hamstring? So if he doesn't succumb to that outside pressure, like from Mike Preston, so we're going to call that tapped out. And we all know what the meaning is behind that. It's implying that he quit, that he didn't have the grit for it. And it's all of this. It's all of this. It's what all of these do. Let's bring these back up. Like the Ravens made a mistake on saying that he participated full. At worst, it was gamemanship or sloppiness, or I guess those are to me, those are the two options. Either it was gamesmanship or it was sloppiness. But do I find it possible that maybe because he was out there for the entire practice that the PR team said, write down that we were like, oh, he was out there the whole time. Okay, so he was full. And not knowing that rule. But instead of just taking the word of people inside the building, nope, there has to be something more devious in there. It has to be. And so now, does the organization have any reliable way to anticipate what Lamar Jackson will do next? So much more devious. It's such a problem. It couldn't be that like they were waiting to see if he'd be able to go by the end of the week. Or it has to be something more devious. They were trying to pressure Lamar Jackson into playing, even though Jeff Strebeck reported that wasn't the case at all, because everybody knows that you can't pressure Lamar Jackson into doing anything. It can never be. And, just to kind of revisit what we said before, like Marlon Humphrey comes out. Hey, Marlon Humphrey says, hey, it was Lamar Jackson that did it. It always has to be something more. It always has to be something more. Why not just take people at their word? Why not just take Lamar Jackson at his word? He didn't feel ready to play. He wants to make sure that he's not putting the season, himself, and his team in greater jeopardy by going out there too soon. It can never be just an injury. It can't just be, oh, he's injured. It has to be he quit, or he tapped out, or he's not communicating, or any of that. It's just constant character assassination. And that's the part that I push back against. Everybody can have their opinions, but it's just a constant avalanche of like, if he's not at an MVP level, carrying this team every time, almost immediately he has a hamstring injury, and look at all of this that comes out. He's tapping out. He quit. He's not communicating. It's a hamstring injury. These things happen. It doesn't have to be more devious than that.
Shelly, one of our subscribers, Shelly, called into my personal channel yesterday. I feel like we had a great conversation on the unique player that is Lamar, being knowing that he negotiates and represents himself, knowing that he maybe is one of the most, for 2025 standards, is one of the most private individuals that you'll find across professional sports. And with all of that, I think there's pros and cons to all of that. And I wonder if stories like these tend to be drummed up more for a player that's extremely perhaps mysterious is the right word, or unknown, because of that privacy wall that he has up. I'm not saying it's right, because it's his right to have said privacy wall up. With that said, we've seen over the years, particularly with the challenges that were presented for both parties negotiating directly with one another, DaCosta and Lamar and his group, the challenges that sometimes can present. And so I think there's, two things can be true. One, a lot of this stuff is speculative and perhaps even below the belt. And two, in other capacities throughout Lamar's 8 years with the Ravens, the way that he handles himself has also led to some challenges. Some challenges perhaps with communication. I don't know if miscommunication led to this oversight by the organization this past week. We may never know. And we don't know, to your point earlier, whether or not it was gamemanship, an oversight, or anything else in between. But I appreciated that conversation yesterday with Shelly, because I thought she came into it, and she's a self-proclaimed Lamar Jackson apologist, which is awesome. Like, good for her. She's a huge diehard fan. And I think we had a good back and forth in terms of just the pros and cons that can come with that unique level of privacy and professionalism that Lamar has chosen to handle his business with over 8 years running.
Sure, that's fine. And we all, I'm sure, have private people in our lives, but let's just apply that to last week specifically.
I'm not even it's not even a rebuttal to you. I'm just kind of speaking freely on it.
No, I didn't get it. I wasn't seeing it as a rebuttal. I hear you on that for sure. Thanks for clarifying. I'm not treating it as a rebuttal, but just to apply it to what happened last week. If because we're talking about the context in which you're bringing that up is we're talking about this injury situation, right? So let's apply that in terms of communication, which is kind of what they're talking about, because the Baltimore Banner opinion article was implying that it's a challenge to talk. And so how would they ever know what he's going to do next? Okay. But let's apply that to last week. Again, I'm using a little bit of what Jeff Zrebeck said on your show in the collective. Okay. So remember, before the bye, John Harbaugh was extremely optimistic, leaning into it psychologically, kind of having fun with that. Right. Then by Monday, his tone had changed and Lamar Jackson was not at practice. And what did the Ravens do all week long? Who got first team reps? Snoop. So when he says, how are the Ravens supposed to know? Well, how are they supposed to know with any soft tissue injury? You're always waiting to see how people feel. John Harbaugh also said at the press conference or at podium on Wednesday, he was asked, does Lamar Jackson need a lot of ramp up time? No, he does not. He knows this offense. So if he says he's ready to go, we know he can jump in at any point. So the Ravens had a perfectly fine plan. We're going to get Tyler Huntley all the snaps. We're going to let Lamar test his hamstring. And John Harbaugh even said at the press conference following on Monday, he said, we knew there was a chance. We always hoped that there would be a chance, but we knew it would be an outside chance. How do you think he knew it was an outside chance? Because Lamar Jackson probably communicated that either with his words and or by not practicing.
Or via the medical team. Who knows how that
the medical team
goes, but
so this whole idea that there's privacy is so challenging. Yes, I get that to a point, and I hear that overall, but applying it to it here, the Ravens seem to know. We are hopeful, but the tone changed from the week before. They put Tyler Huntley at podium on Friday, which is usually reserved for the starting quarterback. So they had a plan in place, and that plan went off obviously great because they won the game, and Tyler Huntley was prepared, and he played well, and so did the rest of the team, and the quarterback position was not an issue. And if Lamar Jackson had come to them Saturday and said, I'll be ready, then they would have plugged him in. I think they would have perhaps won by more. So what is the problem here? Can the Ravens anticipate what he's going to do next? They anticipated it all week. All week long, they anticipated it. That's why Huntley was taking first team snaps the entire time. And John in Jeff's words, they were keeping the light on just in case, but they had Tyler Huntley prepared. That's exactly how it's supposed to go down. That's the perfect way for it to go down. How could it have been any better? Given he was testing his hamstring.
We both agree that this commentary, this speculation is inflammatory. There's no disagreement there, just to be clear.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page.
Yeah. Ready to get into the game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we are 7+ hours out from doing so. So let's get caught up on Super Chats, and we're going to deep dive into the Miami Dolphins sitting at 2-6 right now. Captain Hard says he's a hater, point blank. Lamar. Oh, we didn't even. This is funny. Yeah, we got so deep into attacking the message that we forgot other pieces of the commentary. So Captain picks up on it right now. He's a hater, point blank. Lamar slowed down, but still a superstar. Carson Wentz was medically cleared and he had a torn shoulder. So the end of Mike's clip there from the podcast was essentially saying that Lamar slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, yeah, the hamstring slowed him down, and the Chiefs' game plan slowed him down prior to him exiting that game. But also, he was leading the league in touchdowns when he went down. Like, he hasn't slowed down. Now, granted, look,
he looked slower after that Bills game.
Femi's
right?
I was just going to say, Femi's on record for theorizing that he may have been injured in that Buffalo game. But Mike didn't get out there and say physically slowing down. I mean, he's inferring that it's like overall production, and that's not been the case.
Well, and the other thing that Mike put out there, which is consider a trade. Consider a trade. Your superstar, like, again, it's exaggerating of what just happened this last week. They knew there was an outside chance. They left the light on, but they prepared Huntley. So you're using this week as a reason to say, he said they created this environment and now they either have to live with it or trade him. Yeah, I think we can live with it. That was a really good, the way it went down last week was really good. Yeah, nobody in Baltimore wants to trade Lamar Jackson away. Yeah, we can still deal with the very professional Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens are going to be okay with the very professional Lamar Jackson.
Let's get into this game preview. We appreciate you, Captain. We'll get back to more Super Chats as they come in throughout the afternoon. So, all right, why don't we do this? I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here, and we're going to chat about this game that both of these teams, Sarah, so desperately need.
Yeah.
Ravens are 2-5. Dolphins are 2-6. Miami's coming off a win over the Atlanta Falcons, and it was a decisive one. Michael Penix Jr., their starter over in Atlanta, did not play in this one. That meant that Kirk Cousins made his first start of the year. They did not play well as a team across the board, did the Atlanta Falcons, and I think you got to give Miami credit for some of that. 34-10 was the final. Other games to rip off quickly, just so you get a feel for what Miami's done and how they got to where they are right now. They lost to Indianapolis, Sarah, who is perhaps the surprise of the league in week 1, 33-8. That was not a competitive game. Week 2, Miami lost in division at home to the Patriots, 33-27. Week 3, they lost to Buffalo in Orchard Park, 31-21. Week 4, they beat the Jets at home, 27-21. Week 5, they lost to Carolina. You could probably have a good argument between the Panthers and the Saints in terms of the NFL's worst teams this year. They lost to the Panthers 27-24. Week 6, competitive game against the Chargers. They fall short to LA 29-27. And this, oh man, they lost to Cleveland, Sarah, 31-6 the week prior to hanging 34 on Atlanta. So that's where they are right now. They're 2-6. Tyreek Hill, unavailable. Darren Waller, who just unretired recently, was just thrown on IR. They're lacking in complementary football. Tua's thrown 10 interceptions. Their defense really struggles to stop the run. And so this is who the Ravens are going up against in terms of high-level I guess, tidbits on who Mike McDaniel's Miami Dolphins are through 8 weeks of football. Any questions before we dig further? Or topics that you'd like to bring up?
No, I mean, I think I'm glad you gave that background because we needed kind of a state of how we got here, right? So they're 2-6, beating that Falcons were basically 500 when they met. Both the Ravens and the Dolphins are coming off of wins against non-stellar teams, although at least Chicago is coming off of 4 wins. Falcons were kind of like, 500 team. Now they're 3-4 after the loss to the Dolphins. What just stood out to me most, Bobby, but what you talked about, which I know he cleaned up against the Falcons, was 10 interceptions. 10 interceptions for Tua Tagovailoa through 6 weeks of the season. That's a lot of interceptions, and you're just giving ball games away at that point.
And he tends to give it away. He's a very high-level processor, and he gets the ball out of his hand quickly. I saw a statistic, 2.5 seconds or less, the ball gets out of Tua's hands. And again, he's Jalen Waddle is wide receiver 1 for him. And he's a problem that the Ravens are going to have to deal with. And I can't wait to see Waddle and Marlon going up. Waddle and Wiggins, depending on alignment and overall assignment. You already know Nate's breathing down Zach Orr's neck. Give me that assignment.
It's like, give me Waddle.
Yes. Give me that assignment.
Wait, is Waddle on the outside, though? Isn't he more of an inside guy?
He does a little bit of both. But yes, he's more inside, which is why I think that he's going to more likely see Marlon.
I got you.
Yeah. He's their team leader right now. 504 receiving yards, 50 targets. He's caught 35 of those. 14.4 on average. So he's an explosive player for them. And when you throw Tyreek out of the equation and you take Darren Waller out, who had just joined the team, obviously they're going to have a lot more attention on him. Nobody has more touches than Devon Achane. Nobody has more touches than him across the board. He's their talented running back. He can also catch the football for him. 5 yards per carry is what he's averaging coming into this game. 539 rushing yards so far on 107 carries. They want to run it through him. He's a beast.
He wasn't as good last week, but not terrible. He was 3.7 yards per carry against the Falcons.
And they were lighting it up through the air.
Yeah.
That was their game plan. They were attacking the heck out of Atlanta's secondary, and look what happened. Good things happened. So, and to your point, Tua really, really played a clean, high execution type of day last week. He finished with a quarterback rating of 138.6.
And 9 players caught passes from him, so he spread the ball around.
Yes. They want to run their offense through Achane, number 28. And their wide receiver 1, who's going to get the bulk of targets, is Jalen Waddle. It's going to be a great assignment for Marlon. And a lot of those matchups are going to occur, to your point, in the slot. So where Miami can potentially get the Ravens in trouble here defensively is that they are highly motion heavy, meaning there's going to be a lot of eye candy that they're throwing out there, misdirection, a lot of pre-snap movement that Tua is going to allow as a result to add to his processing pre-snap. And so Achane's going to be on the move. Waddle's going to be on the move. And that's going to have to be a streamlined effort between Zach Orr and obviously Roquan, who has the green dot wearing device in his headset. We already saw the immediate impact that Roquan made just in terms of alignment, overall communication, continuity in his return for the first time with his hamstring last week. And then prior to that, when Kyle was wearing it, obviously with Alohi, they've just been a lot more stable all 3 levels. We know they're not getting home to the quarterback. And that's why I'm just a little bit concerned in terms of the idea of this game potentially being a shootout, because while they're down several of their key playmakers, Tua has proven before that if you give him time, look, he doesn't want a ton of time. Like I said, he's getting the ball out under 2.5 seconds.
Who doesn't want more time, though?
But who doesn't? Who won't welcome? Who won't welcome more time? And he's got enough playmakers, and I'll rip off the most. I already told you, Achane and Waddle, and even Tyreek at this point, who's been down for weeks now. He's still their second leading wide receiver. So between Devon and Jalen, those are the two players that they want to run a lot of this offensive scheme through. Malik Washington has caught some footballs for them. And outside of, again, Waddle and A-Chain, there's not a ton of killers. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to be looking for early on in this game is how is Tua going to respond to, one, potentially time to throw, and two, can the Ravens bait him into coughing up the football? Because as you've already mentioned, he's done a lot of that so far through 8 weeks.
I mean, if the Ravens can manufacture some of that pressure again one more time, and then hopefully Eric DeCosta will get some more trades in here to help out along that defensive line. But yeah, I mean, last week, Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton forced those intentional grounding. You know, it's good as a sack. Be better if you can pressure him into those. You put that same type of pressure. Who's to say Tua won't throw a pick because he's been more pick prone this season. I'm just looking at their injury report. I don't want to throw off your flow here.
Keep going.
Okay. I mean, looking at first of all, for the Ravens, do we have the Ravens in here somewhere? Just so we can look at the health for each team. This is a glorious sight. All Foles, first of all. But it was a estimation because they didn't really, it was like a walkthrough. But then look at the game status. It's just dashes all the way down, meaning everybody's playing. Lamar, Ronnie, TJ Tampa, Nate Wiggins, Teddy Buchanan, all the guys that are listed, they're all playing. As for the Miami Dolphins, they have a much more lengthy list, but plenty of dashes for them also. The only person they have declared out is tight end Julian Hill. Doubtful safety Ashton Davis. And we got a bunch of questionables. They'll probably play. Too bad to see some guys out, but at least some of these are questionable. Linebacker Bradley Chubb. So that's somebody they're going to have to be careful of, the Ravens. So he's questionable, but probably should play. Wide receiver I don't think he's going to be playing much. Cornerback Jason Marshall Jr. and safety. Oh, I'm not going to say his name right. Ayafitu Melifanu. There's no way I got that right. So they're a little bit more banged up than the Ravens, but no massive names look to be in jeopardy. Minka Fitzpatrick, he was listed, but he's got dashes. Can we have a repeat, by the way, of Derrick Henry? Stiff arm.
Well, that's a perfect segue because as I mentioned, just kind of quickly, high level, they struggle to stop the run and struggle mightily. Take a look at the statistics. Right-hand side of your screen, Dolphins defense, 28th ranked rushing group, 145 flat rushing yards. They're giving up. They're allowing. That's not good. That's 28th ranked. And obviously we know what the Ravens can do when they're firing on all cylinders. And they got back to that last week. Even without the presence of Lamar, they put up 177. Snoop had 50 plus. Derek had 71. Keaton had 40 plus. Right? Like they attacked you in bunches and distributed it well.
Bobby, that just tells me the Ravens can control this game, meaning like time of possession. You can help save your defense a little bit. As the weaker unit that's improving now, you're 28th against rush defense. You've rediscovered Keaton Mitchell. Lamar's going to be back out there, although I don't want to see him run too much. I mean, 28th ranked. There's no reason why the Ravens shouldn't be careful with Lamar in terms of having him run and just completely dictate their will on these guys. And from the beginning, they'll be stout, but you just wear them down. And then after King Henry's worn down, do what you did last week and boom, hit him with that wink of an eye, flash, lightning, Keaton Mitchell. The Ravens should be able to control the game big time through that.
Makes a lot of sense to me. They're going to see a familiar face in Zach Sealer, who's going to be a presence for Miami on the defensive line. You mentioned Bradley Chubb is banged up. believe he was actually injured a couple of years ago against these Ravens, but he's an absolute talent if he can go. The NFL's leading tackler is on level 2 of Miami's defense. It's Jordan Brooks. I've got the numbers up in terms of what he's done for them defensively this year. 85 total tackles. He can also get to the quarterback. 2.5 sacks. He's flying around. He's got 6 tackles for loss. He's going to have to be somebody that the Ravens have their eye on at all times. You've got Jalen Phillips, Sarah, that's on this defense. That's been a total trade target name, a popular name in Raven circles, I think. Some are probably hoping that the Ravens go up against Jalen and then go grab Jalen Phillips at the deadline. Maybe that happens. Don't know. Maybe the next opponent will be whoever for Jalen after this, whoever the Ravens have, which would be Minnesota, and have a mini bye week to acclimate in Baltimore. Don't know, but he's on that list of players that could perhaps be more needle moving than others that you've seen out there floating around in terms of the speculation leading up to the deadline. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think, has had a down year for them at safety. Looked into a little bit of Miami coverage in advance of this episode. His polish, his tackling, not exactly to the standard that you would expect of a player that's a perennial, typically all-pro like Minkah has been throughout his career, or perennial Pro Bowler, let's call it. But he's on the back end of this Miami defense. Chop Robinson, a young player for them, defensive end. That's going to be somebody to look out for that's been underperforming. The bottom line is when you're 2-6, you've had a lot of underperformance across these rosters. So I think you put it best. You got to establish the ground game. Miami is susceptible to that. It's open season. Use variety. Use misdirection. Start moving bodies. You got Lamar in there. Don't push him. If he's not feeling like designed runs are something that he feels like he's fully capable of handling the first game back after not playing in 32 days or whatever it's been, you got so many other ways to pick apart this Miami defense. Don't necessarily feel like you have to force it from a design run attack.
Yeah, and the other thing is, that turnover margin. Dolphins are pretty bad. We talked about those 10 interceptions, but the Ravens have a worse turnover margin. They're -6. Dolphins -5. Both took a step in the right direction last week. So, like I said, I think the Ravens can control the game through the ground, but they could give it away through turnovers also.
Yep.
Hold on to, what is it? What's the saying? High and tight. High and tight.
There you go. Sarah, this defense, this Ravens defense, and I get it. They're trending in the right direction over the last 2 weeks. We'll continue to talk about that. 3 weeks, two games. Yet, they've given up 26 passes of 20 yards or more. And if you go back to some of these Miami games, I know every year is different. Sometimes you got to throw out other years and don't go down the comparison route all the time. But I'm old enough to remember when the Ravens defense allowed 28 fourth quarter points to be scored by Miami in 2022. And they were on the wrong end of that shootout, as you and I alluded to earlier on in the show. The final score was 42-38. Tua attempted 50 passes. He converted 36 of those for 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for a quarterback rating of 124.1. Tua has been slandered this year. Some of it's been deserving. He's also called out his team in a press conference.
All that stuff was awkward.
It has been awkward. It has been loud and noisy, and there potentially are jobs on the line in Miami. Maybe there are as well, depending on where the season goes for the Ravens. But what I'm getting at here is you have got to keep the ball in front of you. Keep the ball in front of you. Do not let them beat you over the top. Tua is capable of throwing the deep ball. I know there's a duck here and there. You guys are probably... Is there anybody that's more dissected than Tua for some of the mind-boggling things that he's done over the year?
I mean, Lamar's pretty dissected.
I'm talking about, yes, correct. Nobody's to be.
I mean, all quarterbacks are, to be fair, but yeah.
To be clear on that, I'm not sure anybody has been throughout this generation of quarterbacks more so than Lamar, perhaps more unfairly at times too. what I'm getting at though is some of the the butt fumble-esque, if you will. Mark Sanchez butt fumble, years ago. Like Tua's had some plays like ducks here and there that he throws where, man, they become viral moments almost instantly. All I'm getting at, do not be susceptible to the big play. They're going to test the secondary. They're going to test the run game. And we'll see if the Ravens have answers, Sarah. They have so far through the first couple weeks. They still allowed a Chicago team to put up over 370 yards of offense. That can't happen. Because Miami's going to finish better than Chicago was able to, particularly early on in those drives where the Ravens bent but didn't break and ultimately, held Chicago to field goals, as we know, this past Sunday. So, go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I know we got 2 clips, and then should we give our game predictions unless you have anything else?
Yeah, definitely. Dan Orlovsky feeling pretty good about, well, I shouldn't say that. Dan Orlovsky essentially, in order to get back on the believer bus, perhaps, if you will, of the Ravens, he wants something specific to go down tonight in Miami.
Doors off the Dolphins tonight. For me to think that, okay, this could be real, they got to blow the doors off the Dolphins. The Dolphins played really well last week. It was the most physical game that they have played under Mike McDaniel probably ever. But this is a team that's been in turmoil all season long. This is an unknown kind of sleeping giant right now in Baltimore. Remind everybody, last year they broke records on offense for rushing average. They broke records in yards per play since like 2000. This was a historically great offense. Most of that offense is back this year. We just haven't seen it. Tonight will be the first snap that we get with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Isaiah Likely, and Patrick Ricard. The offense that we saw last year hasn't played a snap together this year. So this offense tonight, I want to see domination. I want to see them blow the doors off the Dolphins, because then if they do, then that makes me think, all right, this team's got the chance to do the unthinkable of how they started, and can they get back in the division race, and then can they matter into December and maybe into the playoffs? And so I don't want to see this team play average football and squeak out a win.
2017 wouldn't be enough?
Get out of here, dude. Okay. This team, if I'm going to think that they can do what has the chance to get done when it comes to erasing that start, I want them to beat the absolute snot out of it.
My man caught himself quickly there.
He sure did. This is what cable TV. There's FEC rules or FCE. What is it? FCC. There we go. I'm getting there. Woo.
Right.
Listen. I think Dan is good at his job, and with all due respect, I don't care what it's going to take for him to believe. I don't care if he believes, if he doesn't believe. He didn't believe Lamar was deserving of the MVP last year, at least not enough to actually vote for him. Saying at the time that it was Derrick Henry and this team that Lamar benefited from, and we've seen how that turned out this year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just not in the camp. We've actually debated this before, Bobby. I don't believe that analysts should be, when I see it, I'll believe it. Like, anybody can do that. Anybody can come in and say, oh, the Ravens beat the brakes off of them. Well, they are good, turns out. Like, anybody can get on TV and say that. It's, can you project it based off of the changes and the things that you're seeing? And he's pointing out that this will be the first time we have all the starters that he mentioned healthy. Isaiah Likely and Pat Ricard will be on the field for the first time with Lamar Jackson. We haven't seen that yet. And without them the first week, the Ravens put up over 40 points. Hopefully Todd Monken will continue to bounce back like he did last week and not be as predictable. But I don't need Dan Orlovsky to see it in order for me to believe it. I think that the seeds are there. Obviously, the Dolphins can come in and they'll have their own will to try to impose. But the Ravens do have the makings to go on a run, in my view. And I'm projecting it. I'm not waiting to see it.
Now, you did acknowledge earlier on, though, about the talent gap here, roster-wise. And so I don't know if it's that far off, though, in terms of what Dan's getting at here. I mean, he wants to see them, and maybe that's because he sees the talent gap in the rosters as well.
I'm expecting rust, Bobby. I'm expecting a little bit of rust. Yeah, I still
on behalf of Lamar?
A little bit of Lamar. Yeah, mostly Lamar. Like Lamar's, like I've said, I don't want to see Lamar necessarily running the option play, even though I think it's one of the best plays that the Ravens have. I think that Lamar has the correct attitude. He was asked on whatever day it was. We've lost the days now. I think Tuesday, where he said that he doesn't expect any rust, and that's the mindset he should have. I expect a little bit. I'm gonna have a little grace. If he goes out and throws as one of our super chats said, like if he throws a Jackson 5, great. He will have exceeded my expectations, and I'm all for that. But regardless, I expect the Ravens to win. I'm going to have my score prediction in a minute. But I am in my score prediction. I'm going to have a little bit of room for rust. Still a win, but a little bit of rust.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, we should mention too, this has nothing to do with the X's and O's and everything and some of the nuance to this, but you know, this is a homecoming for Zay and Lamar and all the South Florida guys. You know, Lamar obviously grew up about an hour outside of Miami, I think, in Pompano. So, or I always totally screw up that pronunciation. Is it Pompano? Pompano. Thank you. So, you know, that's obvious. I'm sure these guys are going to get up a little bit extra for this one. It's prime time. It's Zay's first time playing in South Florida, Sarah, since I think high school. There was a clip going viral of him as a high schooler after a game that he won by some Miami-based or South Florida-based reporters. So, you know, this means a little bit more. And I'm sure a lot of people, as Lamar kind of hinted at earlier this week in his press conference, a lot of people hit these guys up on these types of weeks for tickets requests. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks from their past lives, their adolescence, and you know their time growing up that are going to be in those stands. So just a little extra motivation, if you will.
It is a little extra motivation. I actually think I have. Did I forget to bring it in? I have a high school clip from Zay in an interview. I'll look for it while I play this one first. This is Tua Tagovailoa on Lamar Jackson.
Out of respect for Lamar, the things that he's done throughout his career. I can vividly remember when I was in college. I think he was in the NFL, and he reached out to me, and you know, like told me that I was balling, and I thought that was like one of the coolest things. I think that was the year he won the MVP. But just the amount of respect that I have for him, who he is as a player, and then, you know, I've been hearing talks about, you know, what people say about him and whatnot, and how he handles himself and how he goes about his business. Very respectable, very commendable, and he's a baller. Like that's just flat out what he is, and that's what he does. He's a game changer with what he can do in the pocket, throwing the ball deep. On the run, and then he can, you know, make you miss with his legs as well. So I got a lot of respect for him.
Love it. And Lamar in the past has talked about Tua, and as he just said, for him to reach out meant a lot to him. Do appreciate that about Lamar. And here's the clip from Zay from high school that I was just referring to.
64-yard touchdown, long touchdown early in the second half. That was a key play and pulling away. What were you thinking at that moment when you did that?
I knew I was going to score. I wouldn't even worry about it. They had me one-on-one. I was like, I'm going to beat him. So I told him, just throw it out there and I'm going to go get it.
Good game, baby. Good game. He really hasn't changed much. But just to give attribution for that was David Furones. Hopefully I said that right. Where he went into his camera roll and found this clip from his junior year down in South Florida. So, you know, Zay and Lamar are going to be amped up for the reunion down there. They'll have plenty of friends and family, as you mentioned, and are just going to want to put on a show for everybody.
Look at young Zay.
Look at Zay. But even the way he talks, I knew I was going to do it. I wasn't worried.
Well, hey, you know what? Zay's going to be a big part of the game plan tonight. No doubt about it. You know, continue to test them vertically, continue to use Zay in different misdirection snaps. And you know him. You get him going north to south. None of this tap dancing stuff that we saw last week at times. Just go fight for those yards.
He almost lost that first down.
I know it. And it's funny. I know everybody's kind of been on him the last year or two about it. And then he acknowledged it himself on Twitter, which I think is awesome. He's so self-aware. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
But north to south, and when he's fun. You know, I commented on it over the week, you know, during the Bears game, and the thing blew up a lot more than I would have thought. And people are getting after me about, have you not been watching them? This has been a thing. I'm like, no. I'm aware that he's aware, and that this has been a gripe of some in the fan base. All I'm saying is there were just a couple plays where like, no, he's not similar to Marquise Brown. They're different builds, totally different builds. Like Zay's going to run through you. I want to see that when he's in those situations where he needs that 1 or 2 more yard and he's right at the sticks. So,
yeah,
go get it.
All right. Are we ready?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
All right. Yeah, I think that, as I just said, there might be a little bit of rust on Lamar Jackson's part. Hopefully I'm wrong. Either way, with or without rust, I think he's gonna do well. I think he's gonna play well. I think he's gonna come out. Remember earlier this week, Acho said he's coming for blood, all that kind of stuff, but he did it in the context of the locker room stuff. And I was like, but the locker room stuff happened after the Chiefs game. Like, or going into the Chiefs game, right? Like that wasn't what he's fired up for now. I think he's fired up to just get back out there, rejoin his teammates, get the season back on track. I think that Todd Monken is better now with him coming back, and hopefully he'll be less predictable with his running back sets and who he brings out there and when he's running. Isaiah Likely, I think he's been back for quite some time now. He hasn't really been able to connect much. I could see that connection coming back alive in this game. Lamar Jackson's coming back to Patrick Ricard. He's coming back to an improved defense. I just, unless there are turnovers that completely change this game, I definitely see the Ravens winning. I'm not going to say a blowout win, but I do think that they're going to win convincingly. I'm going to give them a 10-point win, 34-24, as Zay and Lamar go back home.
Nice. I'm going 31-24 Ravens. I expect the first breakout game of Mark Andrews' season, and I expect one takeaway from the Ravens secondary. I think it's going to be Marlon Humphrey. So that's what I'm going with tonight, 31-24. Ravens will improve to 3-5. They'll have a mini bye, Sarah, as we both know, before they get ready for the Minnesota Vikings. So that's what I'm going with. Let us know what you guys are doing in the comment section, in the live chat. We appreciate you. And NFL Network is a clean slate. And typically, if you're superstitious, you're probably going to want to look away from the screen. But NFL Network across the board has the Ravens winning universally tonight at Hard Rock. Daniel Jeremiah, Colleen Wolfe, Adam Rank, Bucky Brooks, Maurice Jones-Drew, and others. By the way, I finally looked into this. A lot of these names that maybe don't jump off the page, a lot of them are staff writers, other staff members of NFL Network, which is why we always are like, wait, who is it again?
Who's that name?
No disrespect to any of them, but they're just not household names. So if you're superstitious, look away. Happy Halloween. And maybe the Ravens commence Halloween weekend festivities with a win tonight in primetime.
All right, super chats and quick hits. And we'll be back here later tonight.
And everybody's commenting on, yes, the elephant in the room on this graphic is 59-10. Gordon has it. 59-10 is what he has. Which was that not the exact score? Or was it 52-10? Or what? I said it earlier, but what was Lamar's first ever regular season start as a full-time start? Well, you know what I mean. The first game of 2019, which was his first full season as a starter. What was the final score? Was that 59-10? Insane.
Okay, I've got the score history. Okay, the last game, by the way, was 56-19. But you want to go back to...
Well, wait a second. That might have been it then.
Yeah, last game, December 31st, 2023. 56-19.
All right, I need September 2019. Give me that final score. I think it's 52 or 59-10.
It's 59-10.
Okay, so
September 8th, 2019. Yeah.
So this guy, unknowingly or knowingly, picked the same exact score the first time that Lamar ever played the Dolphins. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, that would be fun. Okay, that would be fun. And I feel like Ravens fans deserve a little fun at this point for everything they've been through. Ravens themselves need to have a little fun. Just reintroduce fun into our lives again. That would be great.
Amazing. Super chats. We left off with Captain. So Jeremy Yu picks it up and he says the Baltimore Banners' arrival has fueled the Suns' decline. Sensationalism is now a competition, breeding attacks and animosity, from Jeremy Yu. Evan is celebrating 6 months of channel membership.
Says, shouts to Teddy Buchanan, Defensive Rookie of the Month. 30 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. With Roquan back with the mic, a lot to build on with him.
And Evan led us right into one of our quick hits. Yeah, somewhat surprising, knowing that this team struggled throughout the month of October. How can a struggling team's rookie make it? But hey, shouldn't take away from the opportunity that Teddy's gotten. I think at times, we're looking for a little bit more from him in terms of maybe recovery speed and the processing side of things. And particularly without Roquan, a lot of those things are exposed, Sarah, knowing that, when Agent Zero's out there, every one of his running mates is going to be in better shape and just in better standing, given the coverage and some of the reliability there. But nonetheless, good for Teddy.
I'm going to look up his snap count, because I do feel like I saw with return of Roquan Smith, I feel like we saw Simpson out there a fair bit. So it's going to be, Buchanan stepped up. He had to do a lot. So it is a little surprising he won it, but I don't know what his competition is.
I tell you what, too.
Here's Buchanan.
I love Derek Coleman earlier this week showing the role on third down that Trenton maybe perhaps has found. Like, that's great.
Okay, he did have a lot more. Forward, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just I'm happy for Trenton. It's been back-to-back years of being demoted and severe reductions in snap counts. So the fact that they've maybe found a potential home for him in the short term as a third down guy and some Sam looks. I'm happy for him. And he's showing that physicality, some of that sideline to sideline speed. Maybe that's not exactly what you're seeing in this new role day to day. It's more along the lines of the ability to rush the passer in some cases and be stout against the run. But I'm glad they've at least found a role for him that gets him in the game outside of special teams.
Buchanan was 44 snaps, so it was 70%. Trenton Simpson was 16%. Hummel got in there. And I'm sure other times, like Kyle Hamilton played inside linebacker. But yeah, Simpson in coverage a bit. So yeah, Buchanan's still getting the bulk of snaps there compared to Trenton Simpson.
And you're not kidding. Jake Hummel got one defensive snap and he made the most of it.
He sure did.
In our instant reaction, that man laid some wood down right before Chicago found the end zone. But hey, wasn't Jake's fault that they found the end zone because he wasn't in the following play. Pen 15 Shaft celebrating 7 months of channel membership, and he writes, Keaton and Henry should be called Slash and Bash. Slash and Bash. Jared Thomas is here.
Jared says, haha, Sarah got the experienced teacher look going on. LOL. Teach us about Baltimore Ravens football. LOL.
There we go.
Just see better. Sarah. I'm having a hard time even taking them off. I just see everything better. I like seeing you better. All of it. Yeah.
If Steve Young were here, he'd be like, sophisticated Sarah's in the house.
Sophisticated Sarah.
Sadesh, what's going on, Sadesh? He says, Ravens win tonight. Lamar about to go off. Hashtag Ravens. Pinky's in the house.
P said, I would love Mitchell to play more, but please don't only put him in when he will get the ball. Don't be predictable. Amen.
Yeah. True Son says, I want Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel. Okay, so he wants Minnesota's DC and Miami's head coach.
Who he's, I guess, assuming is going to be fired?
I think he wants Brian Flores as John Harbaugh's replacement, and he wants Mike McDaniel as the OC.
Or Brian Flores is the DC? Maybe he's asking for a DC and OC?
Okay, True Son, let us know. You want Harbaugh? You want him to stay? You're going to fire Monken? Is that what you're going to do here? Thanks, man. More quick hits. We talked about Tua, and you brought this one in from Jordan Schultz. I think we actually played this clip.
I thought this was a new one. I think this is an old. This is a new one, I think.
No, it's okay. Let it rip. I mean, some people maybe.
You let me know if it's the same or not. I thought it was a new one. Let me see.
Big show. I said that with the win against the Bears in Week 8, the trade deadline could get very interesting for a Ravens team that at 2-5 still finds itself in contention in the AFC North, despite the slew of injuries they've dealt with this year. Not only did the Steelers and Bengals both lose last week, but now you get Lamar Jackson back with the opportunity to move to 3-5 on Thursday Night Football. If you do that, you're basically one game out and you still play Pittsburgh twice. Their momentum's back, their confidence is back, their swag is back. Look for Baltimore to make a defensive move or two at the deadline.
Or two. So is that a repeat?
I think so, but it's all good. I mean, it's still
my bad.
warrants repeat. So
Not one, but two.
That's exactly what I think everybody's hoping for.
Yeah.
Get a dub tonight and go grab a guy or two, plural. More quick hits for you.
Yeah. Well, this one I don't know if needs to be stated, but in case it needs to be for some, Adam Schefter reported yesterday, for those wondering if the Browns would consider trading Myles Garrett by Tuesday's deadline, the answer is, in the words of one source, no chance. Then he added, people have a better chance of winning the lottery.
As Peter Schrager said, it's not how it works. And it's this unlike the NBA and MLB, there aren't these dangling names out there that everybody's aware of that could potentially be available. And perhaps you get the popcorn starting next week, Sarah, as teams get their offers ready, negotiations start, the phones begin to ring, so on and so forth. And some optimism on the way out here, according to PFF. To date, the Ravens have had the second toughest schedule. Remaining, the fourth easiest. Make of that what you will. At Miami, at Minnesota, at Cleveland, and home against the Jets over the next 4 weeks. That's where things currently stand. And partner, it all ramps up tonight, 8:20 primetime, Thursday in Miami. Looking forward to our coverage tonight with you.
I'm looking forward to it too. I think it's going to be a great time.
Well, hopefully we hear from Ruthie. I hope we hear from Ruthie. If any of you guys know Ruthie, she is our giveaway winner. So hopefully we'll hear from her at BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com at some point here soon. I'll have pregame coverage tonight leading into Ravens-Dolphins at 7. You and I will be live once the postgame press conferences finish up. And we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on this Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for the continued support. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off. And as always, Vaultrons, we appreciate you. And thank you for spending some time with us here inside the vault. Enjoy your game day, and we'll talk to you tonight.